just kick off the recording. All right, Mr. Brian, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. How are you?
Man, I'm all right. It's been a very hectic day, but that's the way it is around here.
Yeah. Sorry we we got messed up our last schedule. So
I get so much stuff going on. Every day it's kind of like this.
oh yeah, I can imagine, dude. You're running that gym and that Lord knows how many others. How many Metroflex gyms are there now?
Across the nation, we have 20 now.
20. Okay.
Opened up 2 this last month. One in Tampa, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and one right down the street from here, 10 miles away in Mansfield, Texas.
Awesome. So, and just for people that don't know, you're kind of like the home of Ronnie Coleman. Is basically where he started, and Branch Warren, and who else?
Johnny Jackson,
Johnny.
Corey Matthews. I mean,
Okay.
those are our most famous IFBB guys.
Yeah. Of course, everybody knows it because of Ronnie.
Guys.
So
Got close, but maybe didn't make it.
yeah. How is Ronnie doing?
Yeah, Ronnie, he stays in amazing spirits. We're actually putting on the Ronnie Coleman Classic May 20th in Fort Worth.
Okay.
He stays in much better spirits than I would in his situation. It's
Yeah.
I never dreamed that Ronnie would ever be where he is now. I mean, everything he did back in our time when we were all training together was literally supernatural. The amount of weight he could push, the amount of reps he could get with heavy weight, all that stuff. And a lot of people I know criticize our style of training and blaming, no, that's because that's what happened to Ronnie and all them heavy weights and all that crazy shit. But I'm telling you right now, it wasn't it. It was the surgeries that messed him up.
Yeah.
He got hurt in college. He's hurt his back. He would have been a pro football player if that hadn't happened.
Yeah.
He's a middle linebacker at Grambling University. And I never even knew about this till later in life. And I mean, I remember probably the first year I trained him, every year we'd have a thing called the Texas Deadlift Classic. We'd always enter it. And I'd always win my class, and my other workout partner would win his class. And Ronnie was kind of between. I was in the 220 back then. My buddy was in the 275, and Ronnie was weighing about 230, something like that. And we actually weighed about the same, but I would drop and make that weight, and I'd do 220. The first year, I said, okay, we're going to start putting some deadlifts in the mix. We're going to do this show, and you're going to do it with me. Okay. And then, I think I went up to like 550 the first workout. Then the next workout went to 600. And then the next workout, he goes to 675. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, I'm going to do like 625. And then the next workout, we did 700. I'm like, God dang, okay. And then we went to the meet, first deadlift meet ever. He pulled 725 pounds.
Jesus. I'm like, and that's a 220.
He weighed like 230 probably.
Okay. That's still impressive.
Yeah, and I think I pulled 640 that day, and our other partner pulled almost 800. This guy was a freak.
Yeah.
But, he had tremendous power. It didn't seem like there was anything wrong with his back then at all. And probably, right when he won Mr. Olympia, a lot of people would train with him, and people come from all over the country. A lot of people come from California, and of course we'd murder these guys, and especially the California guys. It's like they weren't used to training hard like that. And anyway, I lost my visual here, but hopefully you can still hear me.
Yeah, you're good. I pulled up your Instagram here. I'm just showing some of your clips. Go ahead.
What's going on here? But anyway, he was doing squats that day, and there was probably about, I don't know, he had like 5 or 6 guys training with him. And that's too many people for me. I mean, I like to train fast, even now. That's kind of one of my secrets with Branch. Like Branch, literally, we would do like 40 sets of back in like an hour. And that's when Branch's back changed. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, with these guys that day, I told Ronnie, I said, man, I'm just going to go do my own thing. I go, because, you're not going to get done till freaking 2 o'clock. So watching these guys spotting them, and I think he had 5 wheels. And back then, he could probably do 5 wheels close to 20 times,
Wow.
And I don't remember how many reps he got, but this guy, instead of supporting him like under his chest, like I would, he grabbed him around the waist and kind of pulled him. Well, he just like, whoa! I mean, and just got crushed under this weight.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I go running back there. I'm furious. I slam the one guy against the wall, some name I'm sure, and then get Ronnie up. I'm like, you all right? Yeah, my back feels kind of weird. I said, well, just go home, man. Let's go put some ice on it. And let's go to the chiropractor tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
He said, no, man, I got to finish. I'm like, all right, well, it's gonna be hurt too bad. Let's go finish. So he did, but he was hurt bad, and he overcame it. You know, and I mean, he won the Olympia that year, and he was still able to lift heavy ass weights. This is before all those videos that y'all saw with, 800-pound squat, 800-pound deadlifts. And this is probably a couple years before that.
Okay.
But that was kind of the start of that happening on him. And then, if you remember when the year that Jay Cutler beat him, his whole left side, it looked about like my left side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had crazy atrophy in his lat and his tricep. Tricep pretty much went away on the left side.
Yeah.
He still was huge. He was weighing about 300 pounds. But that side, it was very obvious something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Jay brought his back up tremendously that year. And I mean, I kind of think they should have let Ronnie win and just go, okay, now you got 9 and you're done, sir. Thank you for the greatest career ever.
Right.
But, he came back, and of course it didn't go well. And but still the greatest in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, by far.
I still feel that, like, I remember when he told me he's going to have that surgery. We were out fishing. He loves to fish, and I'm a big time fisherman down here in Texas. We're big into all the outdoor sports.
Mm-hmm.
I got him to go with me, and his birthday's actually coming up this weekend, and we would always go around his birthday. So it's hot. I mean, it's 95 degrees here today, and so we're sitting out there on this boat, and me, him, and Corey was a 212 pro. And I'm looking at Ronnie, and I'm like, what the hell do you weigh right now, man? This is years after you retired. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm about 285. I'm like, man, F you, man. There's no body fat. He's got veins. Ronnie has more veins than anybody on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And they're bigger. His veins are like massive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm like, why don't you come start training with us in the morning, man? I go, man, it would really inspire Branch and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, hell no, man. I ain't lifting heavy like that no more. Never. I'm like, oh, man. I go, I'll make him something, you'll like it and be comfortable. I go, hell, I'll work out with you, man. I go, half time I don't like working out with them motherfuckers. They're too strong for me. They're young, man. I mean, Branch Hill, he was inclining like 405 for like 15 back then, and, so I hated doing chest with him, but I would. But anyway, he's like, no, I ain't doing that. He goes, besides, I'm getting a back surgery next week. I'm like, what? Why? And he goes, oh, man, my back's messed up. And I'm like, man, all our backs are messed up. I said, man, don't get no damn surgery. He said, nah, I'm going to get it, man. I'm tired of this hurt. I'm like, okay. But that's when it started.
Yeah.
And within about literally probably a couple months after the surgery, I mean, he started having a lot of issues.
Yeah. And he had a total of how many? I mean, it was probably close to 10, I think.
I would think so, yeah. I lost track around 7.
Yeah.
Hi, Brian. Jean-Pierre Fuchs here. I gotta have to come in because if you start talking about Ronnie, I could just listen here for 2 hours without ever opening my mouth. He's best of all time, and you were so close to him. I remember a few times, having traveled with Ronnie, and there was one experience I had with him, which made me more than ever aware that I have to stop. I will never be like this, And it was not like, he's way too big for me or anything like that, at least not in the late 90s. But I had a photo shoot with Chris Lund right after Ronnie. And Ronnie was doing some kind of T-bar. And the T-bar you could load up from like every side on different levels. And I started to feel the first time about, 12, 13 years into my career, counting the amateur years too, that I got a little weaker, kind of mentally and physically. So Ronnie was loading this whole thing up and just cracking reps there like there's no tomorrow. And I could not lift this thing out of the stand. And I could have done things like that a few years before, but I just kind of felt like, okay, now either I take a longer break or I just stop altogether, you know, because this is just a guy from a different planet. I also remember once in Hawaii when we spent, I wouldn't say we spent a week together, but we both were invited for a week in Hawaii. It was some kind of fitness week. And he heard that there is a 300-pound dumbbell somewhere, I think at the World's Gym. And he did not let go till he can go and try the 300-pound dumbbell for single rowing. You know, he was just like all day long, let's go try that 300-pound dumbbell. Okay? I mean, the guy had just such a hunger, and you know, he was just so special. And I also know it was not a surprise to me when he started winning. You know, he was very, very, very good before that. He just didn't really always get it together. But there were times, I think once in Toronto or Vancouver, I think it was Toronto, where he by a hair or even beat Flex Wheeler, which was close to be you know, unbeatable, other than maybe in case of Dorian. So the guy was really, really good, you know, from already when I came in 95 or so. And I'm so happy to talk to you here. You know, it must be. I have a question to you. You know, we know all this crazy stuff he did, which we see in video. Now, is there anything you remember which is maybe not as obvious, which you have to say this will never happen again? I heard things of 225 on the bench for like how many reps? Do you remember that?
Oh man, Ronnie could probably do that. I don't know, 60, 70 times, I imagine.
It's insane. It is absolutely insane, you know. I mean, it's just
he was great at repping stuff out with heavyweight too, man.
No, since he was so good in '96, he placed I think 5th, and in '97 things kind of didn't go very well for him. Was Chet really the whole difference, or did you see other things really changing in '98?
Well, in '96, Ronnie was all natural. So
he was very, very good at the Olympia, you know, natural or not. He was great.
Chad changed that part for him.
Mm-hmm. And he had already won, what, 2 Olympias, and he was still a police officer?
Yeah, at least 2, for sure. Yeah, he always worked. You know, he was no stranger to hard work growing up, you know.
Yeah.
You know, he's a country boy, man. He didn't like these kids around here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure he's like me. He started working in the first job when he was 13. Man.
Yeah.
And, they taught him a tough work ethic. I mean, he's raised by a single mom. His mom was an absolutely wonderful lady. Mm-hmm. She raised 4 kids, and all of them got college degrees out of a teeny tiny town in swampland, Louisiana, which that don't happen. But she made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he just walk into your gym, or how did you guys meet?
Actually, there was another police officer that was working out here, and he told me about him. He's like, this kid's amazing. Ronnie was a rookie. He goes, man, he don't even know what he's doing. He's down there doing 315 for 8 on the bench and kind of messing around. He goes, he's got more veins than anybody ever seen. And this guy had been in bodybuilding shows. He was a 500-pound bench presser himself, so he knew the game. And I said, well, God dang, bring him down here, man. I go, I need a freaking workout partner, because back then, every time I get a workout partner, as soon as after we did legs, they'd never come back. And I'm like, oh, well, great. And then, of course, when Ronnie came down here, I also told him, you know, you ain't got to pay a dime, man. I mean, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, you know what Mr. Olympia is? No, what's that? I said, well, that's the highest level of achievement in the bodybuilding world. And I'm telling you right now, you could be Mr. Olympia one day if that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, first thing he said is like, well, I don't like needles. I said, I don't think you have to worry about that for a while. And for many, many years, he trained completely drug-free and probably put on, when he walked in the store, I would say he weighed maybe 220. And I mean, he got close to 280 all natural.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, you know, actually met a lady here that was a pro bodybuilder, and she helped kind of steer him in the other direction. And that's when he got with Chad. And Literally every time he'd walk in the door after that, he'd look bigger. I'd be like, God dang, what do you weigh right now? Or like, I mean, like literally every time he's looked bigger. And
What was his heaviest off season? Do you know?
like 320, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Ronnie, even at 320, there was no body fat.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the only year people saw what he really was capable of was 2003. It's the only year. The year before, for some unforsaken reason, they put him on a liquid diet the last month. We used to take pictures with a box camera, and then we'd send them to Chad, and then he'd tell Ronnie what to eat that week. And then I took the pictures. He already had very deep butt striations. Ronnie had butt striations from the first day he walked in, but he wouldn't show them because he thought that was feminine or something. At the first show, I'm like, pull this shit up in the crack of your ass. Oh hell no, man. That's weird. I said, no, Ronnie, it's okay. You show that, you win immediately. Man, I don't want to do that. I said, well, you're gonna win anyway, so don't worry about it. And then anyway, then Renel Javier won the nationals that year. And he was a light heavyweight. He wasn't great, but he had great butt striations. And that's why he won, because nobody had that back then. I mean, no one had it.
Right.
And so I showed that to Ronnie. I said, look at this. It's where you're trying to get to, and look what this guy has. And I still ain't gonna do it. I'm like, all right. But anyway, I took those pictures. He's weighing 285. And I said, Ronnie, this is where you need to stay. Don't drop all this weight like you always do the last month. I go, you have no body fat. I mean, that year he got tested at the Cooper Clinic here in Water, and he tested below, basically they gave him a 0% body fat, because I guess with that heavy weight ratio he had to the amount they measured me at like 3.8, and I was really lean. But they measured Ronnie at like 0, which sounds impossible, but that was at the most extensive place here in Dallas that you can get tested. But I'm like, where do you think this weight loss is going to come from? You have no fat. And he's like, well, they want me at 250. I'm like, no, they don't. I go, if you go to 250, it ain't going to be good. He's like, well, that's what they're saying. I said, Ronnie, look, this is bodybuilding. You go in there at 250, and someone else comes in at 275, which guys at that, hell, John Pierre was probably close to, but what did you weigh back then?
272 to 280.
Yeah. So I'm like, they're going to make you look small, and that ain't going to be good for the reigning Mr. Olympia. I go, please, just go in like this and drop your water, and these people, they will lose their effing mind, because no one's ever seen what you're capable of. And it's like, well, now I got to do what I'm told. I'm like, okay. So of course, I went along with the plan, and every week he got weaker and smaller and weaker and smaller and weaker and smaller. And that last week, I remember the last workout, we did chest before he went to Olympia. And I remember, I was like 50 years old by then. And I remember I outbenched him that day. I did 3 wheels for 8, and he did 3 wheels for like 6. And I'm like, I mean, if he was normal, he could do that like 30 times. But he's on a liquid protein diet. I mean, I think the only food he got to eat was like egg whites and oatmeal, the first meal of the day. And he's like, well, do I look small? I go, Ronnie, in here, you still look amazing. But I know what you're capable of. The way you look when I took them pictures way back a month ago, that's how you should be looking. But do whatever you got to do, man. And when he went, they carved him up on apple pie filling, which is ridiculous. I mean, he doesn't respond good to carbs. He gets real gassy and bloated. I mean, he will fart so bad. This gym is 5,000 square feet. You're going to go to the farthest square footage away from him. I mean, he would wipe out like a whole section of the gym. Terrific. And Kevin Lebrone used to call him the nuke, because when he's doing that on stage. So that was he's like, man, Ronnie had a special weapon, man. It's a secret weapon, the nuke.
Yeah.
Green fog enveloped the stage, and he'd just be sitting there, and it didn't bother him at all. I'd be like, son of a bitch, and I'd walk away from him, spotting him or whatever. what? I go, yeah, whatever. You know what, man? But that was just it, man. But it made his stomach really distended.
Hmm.
And that combined with this extreme weight loss, I mean, he lost 35 pounds in a month. I mean, his body's in a catabolic state.
Hmm.
It's the only time I've ever seen him bring his arms up, and they weren't the biggest arms up there. I mean, pretty much all the top 5 guys' arms equaled Ronnie's that year. And then Gunter come in at 300 pounds and very lean and probably at the peak of his career. And he got a standing ovation. He placed 5th. Ronnie still won that show, but he got booed. And he was a fragment of what he was at 285. So anyway, this is back before the internet, before all that stuff. And literally he got we used to get posters sent here. Well, there was the GNC Show of Strength coming up in Louisiana. Ronnie's from Louisiana. It was 150 grand, I think. It was at least 100,000. It was like equal to the Olympia payday back then.
Hmm.
Well, a week or so before the Olympia, they sent me posters here. I put up in the gym, and I'm like, "Hey, man, we're gonna come watch this shit, Ronnie, and we're gonna bring a bunch of shit from the gym, and we're gonna go. It's like about a 3-hour drive from here." I said, "And we're gonna support you." And I go, "It ought to be fun. It'll be an extra easy money for you to add to your payday."
Hmm.
Because kind of back then, like when they did those, what they call them, Grand Prix and stuff, it was kind of like after Lee Haney won or after Dorian won, there'd be like 3 or 4 of those. It was kind of just a way to give them more money because like they won. It was kind of like you're guaranteed you're going to win if you go.
Hmm.
And anyway, this deal, I think he was thinking was going to be just like that. Well, the first poster, it's got Ronnie on the cover like this, standing there like the old Joe Weider pose, his arms are folded, like, and then had a picture of King Kamali down in the corner about that big and a couple figure girls. Well, the Tuesday after the Olympia, I get another poster. Well, now it's got Gunter in the Joe Weider pose. And Ronnie's down there where King Kamali was, about that big. And I go, okay. He comes walking in. I go, look at this shit. I said, don't go to the show, please. Why? I go, because look at, this is the one we got before the Olympia. And I just got this today. I go, they ain't gonna let you win, man. And he's like, oh, bullshit. He goes, that son bug could never beat me, man. I go, probably not if you're normal. I mean, of course not. Not if you're going in there, what you really have, but you're going in there after losing 35 pounds. And I mean, he still hadn't regained much back. He wasn't even back up to 250 yet.
Wow.
He got below 250. But anyway, he goes there, and I don't know if y'all remember, but Gunter beat him. So the reigning Mr. Olympia gets beat a week later by the guy who got 5th at the Olympia.
Hmm.
That year, Jay Cutler didn't go because he had a beef with the promoter when Wayne DeMilia was still running the Olympia. I'm not sure why, but something happened where Jay did not go.
Hmm.
If Jay had went that year, I venture to say he would have been Mr. Olympia then. But then, of course, that's when the internet got big and all MD had their big, whatever you call it, man, the blogs and all that shit. And it was basically even all the articles in the magazines were not, they didn't even mention Ronnie. It was all Gunter and Jay, for the Olympia. And basically, I mean, they had his grave dug. They had him in a casket. They just hadn't put the nails at the top of the casket yet and put the dirt on top of it.
Hmm.
I told him, I said, Ronnie, I said, this year you got to go in there big. You got to show these son of bitches what you really have. And I said, I go, just keep eating like you always eat. I mean, you're eating 5 pounds of meat a day and you have no body fat. Just keep doing it. And I don't really know what his prescription was, but he listened. And that's the year he went in there. There was very little hype about him. It was all Jay Gunter. First call out, Ronnie, Jay, and Gunter. They had him do one pose, front double bicep. All right, Ronnie, thank you very much. And actually, I mean, the place went silent when he walked out. They went crazy for Jay. They went crazy for Gunter. When Ronnie walked out, it just went.
Wow.
You could have heard a pin drop at the Mandalay Bay. And then One pose, front double bicep, no back shot, no nothing. All right, Ronnie, thank you very much. Let's bring out Flex Wheeler or whoever, and that was it. He won with one pose.
Wow.
To me, that was the best he ever looked. I mean, he was 300 flipping pounds with no body fat.
Mm-hmm.
His arms, I measured before he left, were almost 24 inches around. I mean, his forearm was like 19 inches. I mean, it was insane. His quads were like 35 inches or something like that. I mean, and his waist was still like 33. And it's just, I mean, the tape measure wouldn't go around it. So he was like 60 around his chest. And anyway,
Wow.
he was a
people always argue about, I see that a lot online about 98, 99 versus 2003. And, in 98, I mean, he was absolutely great and hard, 99, a little bigger. But you can see in a couple of pictures when he was next to Nasser that although not by Nasser itself, it's still a beatable physique by none of the guys who were there, or who was alive. But 2003, it's like Jay also said, you can't fight that. It's just so freakingly crazy. How are you going to fight that? Be harder, be bigger is impossible. It's just I think it's the most dominant, body ever graced the stage, and absolutely incredible.
Now, Ronnie doesn't think that. Ronnie thinks that his best was when he won the Arnold Classic. But
yeah,
I don't know why he thinks that. Because
I mean, technically, he was probably in a little bit better shape. But when it comes to the whole package, this is not beatable. 2003, it just crushes everything.
That amount of weight with no fat. Yeah. Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what about you? I did not know about you that even you were competing and stuff like that. I mean, I see right now you're still obviously working out really hard. Yeah. When did you compete? From when to when, and how far did that go?
My first mentor was Tom Platz. So I learned how to train very hard as a teenager. I won a lot of teenage shows. When I was about 21, I got involved in the Texas nightclub scene, and I did that for nearly 10 years. And during that time, I kind of switched over to powerlifting, set a lot of records in powerlifting. When I was 30, I actually started Metroflex Gym. I always wanted my own gym. That's when gyms were getting pussified and turning into these little corporate fitness centers, and hardcore gyms were disappearing like crazy. And I got lucky and I found a place, and 36 years ago, I'm still here. At 66 years old, still trying to kill it, man.
Yeah.
Did you ever compete nationally?
Yeah, I just never made it. When I was competing, you had to win the overall to get a pro card.
Mm.
And I was always kind of a smaller heavyweight. Like my top weight was 220 at 6 foot tall. So they're always, you got to get bigger, you got to bigger. But I wasn't really willing to take the supplements that were necessary for that, because I've probably had 40 of my best friends die since then. I mean, like I said, I'm 66, so I've seen a bunch of them die. I've seen tons of them go, and it's all from too much use, man.
Yeah,
or maybe not all of it, but it certainly played into it. And I could kind of see that, even when I was a kid. I'm like, I mean, I always just took the bare minimum amounts, and then in the off season, we would never take anything. We just train harder and eat more. But it's not like that now.
I was going to say that guys don't know that now. They don't know what to do when they're off of it.
No, I mean, they can't even train.
No, they don't show up to the gym.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question to you. I had once a guest posing, I think it was in Seattle, 3 months after the Olympia. And, I couldn't talk to Ronnie that much. I didn't speak English, but what I understood is that he barely was lifting a weight, or not at all, except pumping up for guest posings, the whole 3 months after the show.
Yeah, Kevin LeBron talked him into doing that.
Yeah.
Huge mistake, in my opinion. Huge.
Okay. But I remember him being in a bathroom, standing there peeing, and I looked at him knowing that he didn't train in 3 months, and I felt like this is freaking insane. This is absolutely insane.
Oh, he's got the best genetics on earth, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he does.
So in your opinion, what would you have changed there instead of taking a break?
Oh, I mean, to me, when you diet that hard and then you get back to pounding high calories again, and you're eating even more protein and more carbs and more everything, it's my belief that you should take advantage at least of the next 2 weeks and blast back up, because I mean, you don't even get fat until about 2 weeks in of eating everything in sight. You just get bigger, stronger, and harder. And I mean, that it was Kevin that talked him into doing that. He didn't do that till the end of his career, but I mean, it worked for him. But personally, I think he would have been even better if he, take a little time off, but I would take advantage of that anabolic burst that you get after starving yourself for all that time, and then now you're getting to really feed yourself and really. I mean, every time I did it, I got stronger, man. I mean, always.
So even Dorian always said that phase, that 4 or 5 weeks after the show, it's when he made the greatest gains. You know?
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, I mean, Kevin's got great genetics as well, and like I said with Ronnie, he probably could have went a year and you wouldn't have been able to tell that he didn't work out. I mean, Ronnie's just a freak, man.
My very first show was the '96 Arnold's, where Kevin won, and Kevin was absolutely stunningly great there. But I think he was probably fine the way he looked, and he won shows anyway. I know I never seen him improve after that. Right? I can be wrong, but I never seen him improve. Where I mean, Ronnie improved late in his career, which is quite different. So.
But also, you got to remember, until he won that New York Pro, he didn't take nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, creatine, I give him metrics. Like any kind of natural supplement, I'd give it to him. Anything. Anything we used to carry supplements here. We don't anymore because, I mean, the internet, and literally in this town that we're in, within 5 miles here, there's 10 nutrition stores. So we don't sell that stuff anymore here. But back then, everything we had, you remember how it used to be in the old magazines and Muscle Tech, and every month they came out with a new something. I remember Branch was a Muscle Tech athlete at the time, and I'm looking at a Muscle Development magazine. They got a Muscle Tech ad, and here's Branch with a bottle of something, drinking it, and it's talking about Gakic, GAKIC, and I'm like, it says 10% immediate strength gains. Well, I'm squatting 700 back then. I'm like, so I do this, I'm gonna squat 770 the very next workout.
I think I remember that stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, so Branch comes walking in because I got to train him that morning, and I'm like, man, what the hell is this Gakic shit, man? I want to try it. He's like, what is it? I go, you're the poster child. You're the one in the ad. He goes, man, take that shit. That's water in that glass. Are you kidding me? Really? All right.
That's funny.
But pretty much, if there was any natural supplement that had any kind of credence or had worked for me, I gave it to Ronnie. Just gave it to him. He actually, his first sponsorship, I don't know if you remember Metrix. Metrix was huge here because the Dallas Cowboys were their they sponsored them. I mean, the whole stadium was Metrix all the way around, and I actually went over to their main office and I said, listen, man, I got a guy in my gym that he's the greatest natural bodybuilder of all time. And I go, man, I really think it would be worthwhile, because they had a couple other guys they were sponsoring, like I think it was like David Dirth, maybe. And
I remember him. He's great.
I think Troy Zucalato, maybe. I'm not positive. But anyway, I said, Ronnie just beat both these guys without using any bodybuilding supplements per se. And, you need to sign him anyway. They gave him a $60,000 contract.
Wow.
And more metrics than 10 human beings could possibly ingest in a month. He'd get a shipment here every month, and then basically he would just give it. He'd take like 2 boxes and give the rest to me, and I'd sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I actually love that supplement, man. I mean, it was high carb, 40 grams of protein, and I mean, you could take it and just put some water in there and mix it up in the pouch and eat it like pudding.
Yeah.
You could, I mean, you could go out hunting, you pull it out, put some water in there, boom, you'd be good to go, man. And it tasted amazing. But then later on, they changed the formula, and it wasn't anything special to me after that.
Yeah.
Did Ronnie take any supplements, natural supplements, of course, during the workout?
Not really during, no.
Like BCAAs or anything like that? He never
that didn't really get big till after he was done, I think.
Okay.
I mean, like we have tons of guys here doing that right now, drinking BCAAs and all
Yeah.
that. I like to do it when I think about it, you know. I just don't always think about it.
Same here.
So when he went to Hawaii, I think he was 2-time Mr. Olympia when I had a little bit of time with him there, and he was almost talking more about being a police officer than his Olympia titles, which I kept telling him. I said, well, you know, to me as a young bodybuilder, it's like, yeah, well, it's great, but you know, he showed his badge, and why did he stop? You know, it looked to me like he wants to be a police officer, whatever. Was it just too much sport, or
no? Well,
his administration had something to do with that, right?
Right. Well, when you get a chance every weekend to make, I don't know, 15 grand.
Yeah.
His appearance fee has been 5,000 forever. And then he would sell pictures and merchandise. He would bank like crazy. I mean, so literally every weekend he's going to make at least 10 grand. I mean, the police officer back then here in Arlington made probably 40,000 a year. So in 1 month, he makes more than he does in a whole year, just on his side events, not counting his bodybuilding victories. And we had a chief that was really what they should have done with Ronnie is made him an ambassador of goodwill. They should have had Ronnie going to schools, talking to kids, stay off drugs, et cetera, but they didn't. And then this police chief got replaced by another guy, and the other cops were jealous of Ronnie because Ronnie got special privileges. Like, I mean, I can remember 2 different times he pulled me over at like 11 o'clock at night because we used to live close to each other. I'd be leaving the gym, going home, and all of a sudden I'm getting pulled over. I'm like, the hell is this? And it would be Ronnie messing with me. So I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, man, I'm messing with you, man. I'm like, damn it. But you got to go home to eat because, you know, I mean, as you know, eating that bland, plain ass chicken and whatever, it's a lot better if you get to make it fresh.
Right.
Because otherwise, he's having to put it in an ice chest. I mean, you watch that one video of him, it's just, I mean, or one of his videos, it's almost all of him eating. It's probably the worst one. I never even watched it all because it don't really show him training that much. It just shows the food intake over and over. And he's like, yeah, more chicken. You know, yeah. Here we go, more chicken. And, you know, and I was telling him, man, put barbecue sauce, whatever it takes to choke that shit down, man. Because I mean, like, even with the guys that aren't genetically blessed like him, I don't feel like putting ketchup or barbecue sauce or something like that on your food to get it down is going to harm you. I mean, yeah, the last couple of weeks for the show, yeah, you stop doing that.
Yeah.
But if you're 8 weeks out, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And that's how we choked it down. KC Masterpiece and Pilgrim's Fried Chicken.
I remember Chad Nichols brought that up, that they were talking to him about that one day, about his clients were all jealous because Ronnie got to use barbecue sauce all the time or something like that. And he said, well, Ronnie could do that, you know, basically what he told him.
Definitely, Ronnie definitely could. I mean, he could probably eat pizza and peanut butter too.
Yeah.
Still would have been Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, actually,
his diet was horrible.
Yeah. I met him at Dexter Jackson's show, I think 2010. He was guest posing still. And because I'm a police officer too, and we had met and we talked and we kind of hit it off. And he was telling me about. I asked him why he had left, and he told me that it was his administration and the jealousy from the other officers, and so.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think they should have just kept him for a different purpose.
Yeah, they could have made him. They could have left him as a reserve officer and just had him make guest appearances, like you said. And
I think he still is actually a reserve officer.
Oh, is he still keep the status? Okay.
He does. He
Oh,
does.
that's good. That's good. So,
yeah.
Interesting.
In 2017, I was working in Colombia, and they had the fitness expo at the Amateur Olympia in Medellin, and I was at the floor overlooking the whole expo, and suddenly I seen a shift from the whole crowd came running from the left over to the right. It looked like the Beatles arrived, back in the United States. And then I saw they brought Ronnie in. I couldn't even believe it. That this is even ever impossible. I mean, the guy is just so popular. I mean, it's just great to see.
Yeah, when he goes,
I heard. Go ahead.
When he goes out of this area, it's insane. We'd like the gym that we opened in Tampa, Florida. They paid him to do an appearance there, and they paid me to come down there too. So I got there. Ronnie's always late. He's going to be at least 15 minutes late no matter what. And so I got there about noon was when he's supposed to get there, and I got there at 11:30, and they already had a line, probably 50 to 60 yards out the front door already. And when I got there, those people, they went crazy on me, and I'm like, wow, okay. And I text Ronnie, I said, man, there's a line already onto the parking lot, man. And I go inside, there's probably 250 people.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm on my way. I'm like, all right. So he gets there, and it was just like you said. I mean, these people lost their flipping minds. I mean, and of course, Ronnie, he plays it up, and he walks in, yeah, buddy. Of course, everybody's there. And lightweight, baby. And everybody, lightweight, baby. And then and nothing but a peanut. And then, and then they had a big throne for him to sit in. And he told me that was his favorite, the best grand opening he's ever been to ever. And he's been to hundreds of them around the world, man. So
how big is that? How big is that gym in Tampa?
It's probably, I'd say 6,000 square feet, maybe 7.
Yeah, that's not far from me. I need to get over there and see it.
I mean, they have a very nice setup for the weight area. They got a really good cardio area. And like the front area, compared to this place, it's like a palace.
Yeah.
Our gym here, it's rust and guts and dirt and dead rats in the corner still and stuff like that, man. I mean, that place there, it's actually in a shopping center. So it's kind of different from your normal Metroflex, but it still has the absolute Metroflex vibe in the workout area.
Yeah.
Which is basically what I require. I said, man, I don't care if you have a Zumba class going on over here. As long as you have what I have at my place, you can have a kids area. You can have a family fitness center over there for mom and daughter to work at while dad's in killing it, trying to be a novice champion or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love that gym.
Do you have a gym here in Murrieta?
Yes.
Oh, that's from your chain.
It's one of our biggest.
Yeah, that's very famous here in the area here.
Yeah, he has a huge membership. Yeah, I'd say he's been one of the most successful ones.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, we have 4 in California, and they're all doing good.
Are you still expanding, or is it about the number you have for a while now? 20, you said.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we got 2 last month. No, I'm about to open one up in Colorado where everything goes good. Hopefully next month. No, I want to go worldwide. I want to be everywhere, man. I mean, like I said, I'm 66 years old. I get a 3%, percentage of their profits, and I get enough of them. I could probably. I don't think I'll ever retire. I wouldn't know what to do with myself, but
unknown.
But it would be nice to have that option.
So, if somebody wants to start the gym, So they pay the 3% and you take over the advertising, or what are the kind of base requirements?
Basically, the thing with our brand, it's automatically, with anybody that knows anything about bodybuilding, it's automatically associated with hardcore training, intensity, balls to the wall, Ronnie Coleman, Branch Warren, that mentality. That's what Metroflex represents. And we have tons of world record powerlifters as well, and strongmen. But of course, Ronnie is our most famous member ever. Branch would be number 2, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
When they hear Metroflex Gym, they know it's not going to be no little 24-hour fitness pussy gym.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go in there. They have to have 200-pound dumbbells. That's a minimum. You have to have high quality lifting shit. You're not going to have no chrome bars that bend with 500 pounds on them. You got to have Texas power bars. You got to have, I require Olympic lifting equipment as well. Honestly, let me take that back. I cannot require it without it being a franchise. Franchises, if I was a multimillionaire, they would all be franchises. I'm still trying to make it, man. The people associated with me, like Branch and Ronnie, they've all made millions. I'm still a redneck from Johnson County, driving a 2012 Ford pickup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drive a Lamborghini like Ronnie. I don't drive a Hummer like Branch. I'm a very simple man. So I guess if I made the money they did, man, I would never buy a Lamborghini ever. That's ridiculous. But he also blew like 800 grand on a Bentley one time, which is If Ronnie buy some land out where I live, and it'll double in like 3 years. But
is he selling his house? I saw
he got a new house.
Oh, okay. I saw he posted that he was selling it. Okay.
Yeah, he got him a new house. Still here in Arlington.
Okay.
And he's got 4 daughters that they're tired of living in the same room with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they all got their own room now. And
that's good.
Yeah, he's still doing well financially, man. Really, his supplement company, it don't do nothing in the U.S. But overseas, they bank still.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, when he goes like to Brazil or Mexico City, India, literally thousands of people will come. Yeah. And then he'll visit, like the bigger nutrition stores, and they'll make huge orders. He's still doing well with that, man. But he's still here every day.
Best of all time, yeah. What can you say?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that he's making some progress with the stem cells. Did he talk to you about that?
The stem cells?
Yeah, he said there's some progress there, and he's not giving up.
I think they diminish his pain, but I have not personally witnessed any mobility improvement or, the ability to be able to just walk normal again. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I said, he loves to fish. And he's still pretty big. He probably still weighs 270. The last time we went fishing, I literally had to pick his big ass up and put him in my boat, man.
Mm-hmm. How old is Ronnie now?
He'll be 50. I'm 8 or 9 years older. He's either 57 or 58 this weekend.
I didn't realize he was that old.
He's getting older. He still looks good. He looks exactly the same, really. Everybody tells me I still look like I'm 40, and he's pretty much exactly the same. Yeah, we did a video the other day, and a bunch of people are commenting, man, you motherfuckers look like you're 40 years old still. I'm like, good. That's the goal, man. That's why we try to press this off, man.
I want to ask you about Branch real quick. Did he ever think about doing the Masters Olympia? Did he talk about it or no?
No. Once he retired, he's like, I'm done, B.
He was done, huh?
And I'm like, man, and Branch is still amazing.
He still looks great.
He's like my brother, man. I call him my little brother. He ain't little, but we hunt together all the time. Bear hunting, elk hunting, deer hunting. And every year, no matter what, we go to he has a ranch. His family has a ranch. At one time, his family had 70,000 acres that they fought the friggin' Comanches to Indians to claim that land back in the 1800s. Like, watch Yellowstone? Well, his family was Yellowstone for real.
Yeah.
And they fought and earned that land.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as the old people are dying off, it's down to the last 1,000 acres. And he wants to buy it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
His aunt owns it. She's 95 now, I think, or 6. Super sweet lady. Still has her mind sharp. Um, just a beautiful soul, man. And
Hmm.
she lets us hunt that land every year at the end of deer season here. Our deer season in Texas is 3 months long. We have the most. We're so blessed when it comes to hunting. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, you guys do have some good hunting out there.
But
So on Branch, real quick on Branch, he's had an amazing career. He had a lot of wins, and JP, you probably know this or opinion on it. How come he can never win the Olympia?
I think he just didn't have that pretty build, you know. Like he got second to Dexter Jackson one year. That was his best finish.
That was we got 09. I think he got second. Yeah.
But I mean, like with Branch, he had to be the hardest guy up there, or he wasn't gonna place well. And he did. I mean, he didn't have like it would make me laugh when I'd read these reviews on him. Like, well, you know, for a guy with such bad genetics, like bad genetics,
Yeah.
like those abs that you see on him, he never even trained those. It just came with his body.
Yeah, he won a lot of shows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I ever trained him, he came here. He was 16. He drove this old beat up fucking Toyota pickup truck. He said, he tells the story. He goes, I pulled into the parking lot. There's this big dude outside with nothing on but a pair of shorts and a bunch of hot chicks doing lunges in the parking lot. And of course, that was me. And then goes, Metallica was blasting. I stepped out and he walks up to me and goes, God dang, boy, you got some good calves. We've been training. And he told me, and I said, well, you're gonna be training here from now on. Come on inside. And I gave him a free membership right then too. And you know, and I mean, even as a teenager, he would win open class bodybuilding shows.
Yeah.
When I put him in a show, I'd have him do teen and I'd have him do open. And I mean, honestly, he never got beat in any show till he was a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I mean, he did get beat at the nationals. It took a while. I mean, he had to work for it. He didn't get it the first time. He had to keep going, but he worked and he kept getting better and better. And the thing with him, nobody going to work harder than that man. I mean, Ronnie did incredible feats of strength, but Branch, the sheer pit bull tenacity that he has, I mean, it was contagious, man. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, it was just. I mean, every workout to the friggin' death, man. I mean, every living workout to the death, man. And I mean, like people would come to work out with him. He's like, hey, make sure we kill this motherfucker today. And we would. I remember one day we had a guy, one of our gym franchises or licenses.
Mm-hmm.
He had a very powerful guy there. He was their big boy. He goes, hey, this guy can squat 500 for 20. I'm like, legit squats or like half squats? He goes, no, it's legit. I'm like, okay. So I want to put him up against Branch and Johnny. I'm like, so you're gonna bring him here to my house? You're gonna put him up against my guys? And I said, we gonna wager on this or something? I said, because I'll put whatever I have to, because I already know I'm gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Branch and Johnny, they're like furious. This motherfucker gonna come here and challenge us? Fuck that motherfucker. Tell this motherfucker, B. Let's go. You know, and I'm just like, yeah, let's go. Well, anyway, they're coming from South Texas, basically. And they got caught in traffic around Austin. Austin is horrible. So they got here late. Well, you know, they're both on a schedule. And like Johnny was training a lot of folks then. So he had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And Branch is like, B, you got to train that. You got to work out with him. I was like 57 or something. I'm like, okay. You want me to train with this 300-pound freak? Supposedly squats 500 for 20 reps. He's 27 years old. I'm 30 years older than him. I weigh about 240 maybe. No, I'm not gonna do it. This is gonna be killed, man. And then he's like, "Oh man, you can still whip his fucking ass." I'm like, "All right, let's go." And then they showed up, and I whipped his ass, man. It was I don't know how, but I did. And he didn't do no 500 for 20 either. He got like 500 for maybe 10, and none of them would have counted in a real meet. And I got 405 for like 18 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I remember I called down there the next day because I knew all the trainers down there. I said, "Hey, how's Big Boy doing at that workout?" He's like, "Oh, he didn't come to work today." The next day, I said, let me talk to him. He goes, oh, he still ain't coming into work. I'm like, oh shit. I said, well, that's good. That made me feel good that I'm still able to dominate this monster.
Yeah, whip somebody 30 years younger than you. That's good.
But like with Branch, I mean, like it was like every workout was like a test to do better than the last workout. You know, and I remember when they basically told him, I said, if you just bring your back up, you're gonna win it all, man. So I devised this crazy ass back workout that literally covered every exercise we had here in the gym that you could do. And we would literally get it done in about an hour and 10 minutes. We do like 45 sets in an hour and 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
I'm talking with lightweight. I'm talking like the full stack on everything. And 250-pound dumbbell rows, 400-pound bent over rows, friggin', 450-pound T-bar rows, lat pull downs with a 300-pound stack and a 45 attached to it, and then a drop set after that. I mean, Branch was a true fucking pit bull, man. And granted, he don't train like that now, but he still trains hard, man. Like I was gonna say with that story about us hunting. I mean, this last year we're staying in this hotel. Well, we got we save money, so we both got like it's like more like a cabin. So I got a room, he's got a room. We're both walking around there with our underwear on, about to go to bed, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, man, fuck you, man. I go, look at your legs. I mean, his legs were strided from all the way to his hip. I go, hit your leg. He's like, bam. I'm like, okay, well, that pretty much looks like when you won the Arnold, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, it looked the same, and they didn't look any smaller. I mean, his legs still look freaking huge. I mean, of course, his calves are just ridiculous, man. I mean, he can't wear cowboy boots. His calves are so big.
Yeah.
To get some special made.
I wish I had that problem.
You say in early year you were trained or inspired by Tom Platz. Did you actually work out with him?
I didn't get to work out with him a lot. He worked at a place that was like a health spa. And as a little kid, I walked by it and I seen him in there. I was 16. At my gym, my school, we had 3,000 some kids, and we didn't have a gym back then. Like now, that school, it has a gym to rival the Dallas Cowboy Training Center. But back then, no weights. We had nothing. And I played all the sports, but and so I had muscle somewhat compared to the other kids. And I also did my family did a lot of like lumber work, lumberjack type stuff, like chopping down trees and shit. And every summer I would work doing that. So that helped make me stronger as well. But I walk by and I see this guy inside there. He's got a tight polo shirt on, and his legs are bigger than any human I've ever seen. I'm like, what the hell? And back then, I mean, people didn't have giant legs. I mean, Arnold was considered to have big legs back then. And this is like probably 1973, maybe 4. And I just walked in. My friend's like, what are you doing? I said, man, I want to talk to that guy. And I go, hey, man, I want to join up here. What do I got to do? He's like, how old are you? I think I'm 16. I'm like, he goes, nah, you don't want to work out here. He goes, the heaviest dumbbell they got is 50 pounds. He goes, you can probably do that right now. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And then he goes, when you get older, you come down and work out where I do. And but he gave me a workout. He basically wrote me out a workout, gave me a diet, and he had me drinking a gallon of milk a day and 4 pounds of meat. Well, I was probably like 180 pounds. And between my junior and senior year following that program, and I also bought a bunch of weights and started working out in my basement. I mean, I went from, like a 185-pound kid to about a 210-pound guy that looks like he works out, And, I mean, changed my life, when I went back to school. Of course, coaches are like, what the hell you been doing? So just getting bigger and stronger. Of course, the football coaches didn't really mind it, but the baseball coaches hated it. And it didn't affect me. I was still the best player. But for some, their mind was so backwards when it came to training. And granted, yeah, if you lift heavy ass weights all the time and don't do anything else to stretch or improve, yeah, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna harm you. You're not gonna be able to throw the ball 300 feet anymore. But anyway, with Tom, once I got old enough to go where he trained, one day I remember he came up to me and he's like, can you curl that right there? And I remember it was an Olympic bar with a wheel on each side. And so I cheat curled it up about 8 times. He's like, that's good enough. He goes, you want to work arms with me? Be here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll be here, man. And I was so excited. I literally could not sleep that night. And I remember I got there at 2 o'clock and I pretty much matched him on everything. I'm sure my form was horrible. And I mean, I couldn't straighten my arms out the next day, you know, but that's how it started for me. And he was very kind to me, man. He was never a workout partner, but I got to work out right alongside him. And, you know, a couple more times I got to do arms with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a little bitch kid. And I mean, I'm the only teenager in that gym. This place was filled with fucking monsters, man. I mean, there was hitmen in there. Fucking, I mean, everybody in there was like some kind of violent person or a strong man or
Everybody in there's on parole or probation, huh?
I mean, we had crazy people in there, man. But the moment he walked in, and even it didn't even have to be leg day. He was so intense. The attitude changed. I mean, before he come in, this gym was very small. I bet the workout area wasn't over 2,000 square feet.
Oh.
So everybody's talking about, you know, whatever pussy they had the night before or whatever. And then here comes Tom, and like it turned into serious business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just super impressive to me, and just his work ethic. I mean, I remember he let me come to his house one time, and we ate like 3 cans of tuna fish after the workout. He had a cabinet that had, I don't know, 150 cans of tuna fish in it, maybe. And I'm like, God dang, man. And of course, when I went for my first show, that's what he had me eat. I got to eat eggs in the morning, and then the rest of the day it was tuna fish and lettuce.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back then your diet was no carbs. You could eat steak and eggs if you wanted. I mean, the tuna fish back then was all packed in oil. There was no tuna in water.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's kind of like that keto type diet that a lot of people have done. And then, of course, then when you carved up before your show, oh my gosh, I mean, you just like, whoa, you know, just because you haven't had no carbs in forever. And I don't think that's the best way to diet, but I still use it on people from time to time. You know, if they're having a hard time getting lean, I just take their carbs out for 2 weeks. Of course, it's horrible for them, but it typically works.
Hey, if you would compare like intensity wise, Tom Platz and Branch, they're probably pretty similar. Huh?
Exactly, very similar.
So not speaking of glutes, which was very different back in those days. So who had the better legs?
Well, of course, when I'm looking at Tom's legs, I was just a little kid. I hadn't been in the bodybuilding game for a long time. So his were like supernatural to me. But I have a photo of him behind my desk that he gave me years ago. And I think it's when he got third in the Olympia, maybe, when Franco won. And I really think Tom should have won that one, but he took it like a man. You know, he knew the political game. But the striations that he had in his legs and that outer sweep that he had, I think I'd have to give it to Tom. You know, and honestly, he's the only person I've ever seen ever able to squat to failure. I mean, to failure. So he collapsed. Like at the gym where I met him, the rack, it could have a special deal that would, like, he would just literally go down, and when he couldn't get him, he'd just dump it on that rack, and he'd fall back. He would lay on the ground for about 5 minutes. He'd get up, he'd put a little skinny ass belt on, no knee wraps, no nothing, and he'd do it again. The best I personally witnessed was 425 for 28, as low as a person could humanly possibly go. And he probably didn't weigh over 200 pounds when he did that. You know, and so to me, I mean, he would go till he couldn't do anymore. You know, like today I was leg pressing, and I was thinking about him, man. And I've got 1,000 pounds in there, and I've had both my knees replaced. I have titanium knees now. and I'm pumping the shit out. It's getting harder. I'm getting close to 20 reps, and I'm like, man, I wonder if I could keep going and just keep going until I can't do it no more. I'm like, no, hell no, because your knees are going to go through the back of the seat and you're going to blow them out and you're going to blah, blah, blah. So I hit my 20 and I racked it. And then I started thinking, I said, man, Tom would have done at least 10 more. And he would have somehow, some way.
Yeah.
You know, Brian, I replaced my knee. I have also an older, kind of stronger version in it than what they usually put in today. My doctor said to me, JP, if you fuck this up and break this knee, this is going to be a major, major deal. So don't fuck it up. Okay? So every time when I'm at the leg press, you know, I think about it. You know, should I do a few more or not? I could break this knee. I don't want to do that.
I mean, this doctor I went to, I mean, some of these people literally told me I wouldn't be able to go bear hunting again, which is just climbing up a mountain. But I found a doctor here that's actually the Texas Rangers, the baseball teams. He's their team doctor. And he basically told me he doesn't want me to do long distance running, which I go, that's not an issue. That's not a problem. Trust me. I always hated that. I loved this. I was a 4.840 guy when I played football, but I hated running anything over a quarter mile. But I was able to, and then he said, I want you, he had no problem with me squatting. He goes, just don't go over 500 pounds, which I haven't got quite back to that yet. It's been 2 years since I had these done. But like leg press today, I did 1,000 for 20, no problem. And you know, they were legit. They weren't those little, you know, so many people do. And
I love my new knee. I love my new knee. It's totally pain free. One time I put the whole stack on in some pushback machine for glutes and felt some kind of a weird something. I just backed off right away, but it's just great. I should have done it years earlier. I didn't know you did both of them.
Well, I play baseball still. You know, baseball was always my number one sport. At 57 years old, for some reason, I decided to go back and start playing baseball. And now I'm definitely one of the better senior citizen players in Texas. But anyway, so with that, I have to run. You know, I have to run a lot, and every once in a great while, I will feel a little something in my left one. But when I do, I just back off, man. I don't push it, and I just I'll jog the rest of the way or whatever. But I also wear knee sleeves when I play ball, and it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. And of course, I wear those like today when I was working out. I wore.
Hey, how close do you follow bodybuilding now?
I'm still pretty close. I've got a few young pros I'm training that have great potential.
So, what do you think about the next couple of 3 years when it comes to the Mr. Olympia?
I mean, like I trained one kid. His name is Martin Fitzwater.
I know him, yeah.
Right now, that kid weighs almost 270 pounds at 5'6", and he's got, you can almost see butt striations at him. And he has a tremendous work ethic, trains very, very hard. Honestly, he has everything Branch had, but he has a smaller waistline. Now his chest is not as good as Branch's, but his shoulders, arms, his legs I think his legs are actually bigger. This kid's got, over this last year, I bet he's put 3 inches on his legs. And his biggest enemy is, you know, he went to the Texas Pro. He got beat by that Andrew Jack. From behind, he murdered Andrew Jack. And so me and Branch are telling him, you're going to win. You're going to win. You know, the shows are won from the back, blah, blah, blah. But I think it was a little bit political, and he didn't get to win. And he didn't take it very well. He didn't like throw shit, but you could definitely tell he was very upset. I said, don't even let him know that. I mean, you don't got to, I go, just shake the guy's hand and walk away. It's fine. And, you know, he didn't shake his hand. He just like walked off pissed off. And then I think 2 weeks later, or maybe a month later, I don't remember, they had it, Arnold UK. So he went to that, and Branch went with him. And kind of the same story, but this time I think he got third. And Andrew won. Another guy who's another gas athlete here James, I can't remember, Hederman, I think his name is. Very big guy, very awesome. They're just bigger than Martin. You know, they're larger people. Because Martin's like 5'6". I mean, he's like Branch's height, maybe a little bit taller. But Branch said they're walking back to the hotel, and the judge is like, "So, hey, what's next, Martin?" Martin's like, "What's next? Why the F should I bother?" Blah, 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 you know. And of course, as you know, you don't do that, man. And those are the people that have your career in the palm of their hands, man.
Yeah, I met him in 2019 at North American. He missed the pro card there. I think he was in the heavyweight. My guy won the overall. They were very close, but they were very close friends, Mike Cleaves and Martin. And I do remember that he has an incredible drive. He was not happy, you know, not having won his pro card, and in a very special way. So I knew he will eventually come up, you know. So I'm very happy he's a top pro now, and hopefully this year or so he qualified for the Olympia.
Yeah, he's gonna guest post for us at the Ronnie Coleman in 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
He's a good kid, man. Just young, man. But no, there's definitely tons of talent out there. I mean, a lot of the guys now, I don't think they're as hard as your era, but there's still, I mean, there's still tons of freaks out there, man. You know, and of course, as bodybuilding, I mean, I kind of hate, honestly, to see it in you know, I'm a promoter. You know, we used to have 100 bodybuilders in one show. Now we have 20 if we're lucky.
Yeah,
that's a big show.
Yeah. It's like that. It's here in Florida is the same way.
So it's, you know, classic physique, which is growing. Which honestly, I wish we'd have had that when I was competing, because I probably would have been able to get a pro card in that. The judge was always telling me, you know, you're 6 foot tall, you got to weigh 260. I'm like, I beat guys that weigh 260 all the time. Shape, symmetry, and definition, and posing. Posing used to count back then. But anyway.
You have an equal, like here in California, there's sometimes 15 bodybuilders and 150 bikini girls. It's kind of similar in Texas. Huh?
It's not that bad, but yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of men's physique guys, the board shorts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the ones we have here, I still train their legs hard.
Oh, absolutely.
I call it mankini. If they're gonna be in the mankini, you still got to do legs with a goal to get the fuck out of mankini.
Yeah.
You go, man.
Yeah.
Did you guys see in the other federation, the IFBB Elite League, they put now suits on the guys on stage?
What is it called?
The IFBB Elite League. You know, remember they split up a few years ago. The Elite League is with Wayne Gaviria now and Rafael Santoja. They're mostly in Europe and South America, but they're losing immense ground to the NPC IFBB. So now they have this new category, physique, but the guys have suits on stage. So it's just kind of the front open. You can see a little bit of the chest and abs. I mean, it's insane.
You wear a suit?
You wear a suit, absolutely. But you do the back pose, you know, in the suit, you do the back pose, you spread fully out, and you turn to the front, full back pose, but you can only see a little bit of chest.
That's weird.
That's weird as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They're probably so desperate because they're losing so much ground to our federation. They're probably so desperate to try something new. Yeah? But it's of course not going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't see that working, but who knows?
Well, guys, I got the latest time over here, so I think
yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. I could, usually I talk a lot, but this is just it was just great to listen to you.
No, that was the whole goal. I wanted to hear some Ronnie stories, and that was awesome.
I got a million of them.
Yeah, but we'll have to do it again.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Bryan. Have a good evening.
Yes, sir. Y'all too. God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.